Happy Monday. How y'all doing? Ah, I am the Moon Mama. Welcome to the Master Nodal class where we are tracking the nodes of the moon through the cosmos. How y'all doing? Um, I feel like I have so much I want to say today. I feel like I just want to just there's so much and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it all out in the way that I want to. Um, I am Monique, also known as the Moon Mama. This is our Master Nodal class where we track the nodes through the cosmos. Why? So that we can activate the Christ consciousness within us. We are waking up to the cosmic power that is alive in us. It's been lying dormant, but we're waking it up. The moon is in Aquarius today. The sun is in Aries, and we are in a Mercury retrograde, a Venus retrograde, and eclipse season. There is deep, deep, deep transformation available to us if we are willing to face ourselves with courage, because that's what Aries is about. So, yesterday I had the opportunity to go. I went on a hike with my friend James. I discovered that he is my unhusband. And we went on a hike, and I ran into someone on the hiking trail. Now, let me tell you, we hiked behind a mountain somewhere. Like, there's an app called All Trails. And so we go on All Trails to find like what are the hikes around, and we'll drive about an hour away. And we went to a hike that was in the Angeles National Forest, way, way, way away. And I'm walking down the trail, and I hear somebody. I think she was like Moon Mama, and I was like, huh, somebody's calling my name. And her name was Kaya, and she was from Compton. And I just wanted to say hi to her because it was so nice meeting her yesterday, and meeting her on the trail, which is something that I do in my private life. And I just love that the universe is that aligned, that she was like that. I ran into someone that I see on Instagram. She follows me on social media, and she was like, it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. And so I love knowing that the work is working. That's the thing. I love knowing that the work is working because the work is so internal, and I have been doing this work and living my life in this way, and to share it with others and have others get it is really it really makes me feel good. It builds my confidence. Let me just say, it builds my confidence. It actually makes me feel like, okay, other people can. It almost is affirmative in a way. Like, I used to really look for external affirmation in everything I did. And then when I stopped looking for external affirmation and just started doing what I know is right for me, and then Spirit told me to start sharing it. And so I did. And now the external affirmation that I get is so on point, but I'm not looking for it. It finds me on the trails. It finds me behind mountains. It comes looking for me, and I'm so grateful. I feel so blessed because I'm doing the thing that is mine to do. And we all are here to do something. We all are here to serve some sort of powerful purpose by just being yourself. By just being yourself. Um, so the moon is in Aquarius, and the moon in Aquarius is an energy of detaching. The moon in Aquarius is about breaking free from your maternal codes. Aquarius is a very unique energy. It's it's very much the energy of a few days ago I did a video talking about Candace Owens, and I was saying how she's the Trojan horse. And the Trojan horse is an energy that is a gift from the universe. It appears to be a gift from the universe, and it appears to be something that you desire. That's like beautiful. And then when you accept it, it transforms into the very thing that you have been resisting. That's what the Trojan horse is. And this is Aquarius. This is the moon in Aquarius. It's this energy that feels, initially, it might feel like, oh my God, but then it's going to rupture inside of you and change you into who you're meant to be. It's going to disrupt the code that you like. It like comes in and it aligns to the code, but then it takes the current code and shifts it into something else. This is Aquarius. It makes you into who you're really meant to be, your divine call. Aquarius is the God realm. It is the heavenly realm. And so you hear, if you study astrology, like people will say things like, you might hear things like Aquarians have a God complex because they are closest to that God frequency. They can access it more easily than others. And what I see in Aquarius is, which is really interesting, often I see this thing in them that if they don't have the courage to really be true to themselves, they will assimilate to the old code. And they're not here to do that. They're here to break free from it. So yesterday I was at dinner with my family. I've been having this real experience of giving myself permission to really be myself. And my aunt, who raised me, my grandmother raised me. I've told you guys this. My parents were off doing whatever they were doing. My mother was 17 when she had me. I really want to give a full picture. My mother was 17 when she had me, so she was a child. So my grandmother took me, and my grandmother had a daughter who was 8 years older than me. So I was 3, and her daughter was 11, and then so it went on like that. So her daughter became very much like my mother. Because I was so young, I didn't understand, because I didn't have a mother present. And my mother was so young anyway. Like, what's the difference in 13 and 17 back in the day, right? So I was very bonded to my aunt. And I spent a lot of time really wanting her to love me. And in the last decade or so, I have done a lot of work to heal that relationship and to heal it from inside of myself, to heal it from me having the courage to be myself, and really undoing the codes that were set up in our family between us, because she was raising me. She was 12 years old, raising a 4-year-old girl, teaching me to read, combing my hair, making clothes, like doing all that kind of stuff. So by the time she got 18, 19, and 20, she had already been a mother. She had already been mothering me. And she was very much, in many ways, like, here's the thing. She was an Aquarius. She would never admit that she didn't want to do it. But privately, when it was just she and I, sometimes she would be mean to me, which let me know that she didn't really want to do what she was doing. And when I became an adult, I understood. I was like, yeah, who's 15 wanting to be hanging out with a 7-year-old? Of course not, right? But because of the way my family is very matriarchal, very caregiving, very nurturing. She could never admit it. She could never just say, I didn't fucking want to take it. And I was a very entitled little girl. Because my needs weren't getting met, I was very demanding and very I was smart and intellectual, and I was a lot. I was a lot for anyone, and let alone a 15-year-old, right? So I've spent the last decade really healing that relationship and setting her free, because I had latched onto her in a way that wasn't appropriate, because she's not my mother and she was a child. And so yesterday she texted me and she was like, do you want to go have dinner at Issa Rae's new restaurant? And it's called Somerville. And I was coming from hiking and the beautiful experience in the mountains. And I was like, oh, sure. So I text like, oh, I would love to. And then it occurred to me, I went to go look at the menu online and it was pricey. I was like, okay, this is going to be $100 night. So let me ask her, is she what? So I texted her, were you thinking that we would pay for ourselves or were you thinking that you would treat? That's what I text. And she texts back, I was thinking that we would pay for ourselves. And I was like, okay, so then I will go next time because it's just not in my budget. It wasn't something that was in my budget. And I felt a certain way about that. I was in my head going like, being a little girl, the way I used to be like, oh, she should pay for me. Oh, she, whatever it was, right? And I said to myself, don't do that. Like, you are an adult. You handled this maturely. Let it be. Rest. And so I had gone to the farmer's market. So I literally came home and I was about to start cooking dinner. And she texts, like, it's okay. I'll cover you. I'll take care of it. And I was like, I was so grateful that I didn't create a negative story in my head based upon our childhood experience, based upon me believing that it's her job to take care of me, believing that because that's what my family does. And she has become the one who has a lot of the resources. She has more money. She has where my family really does this thing with her. And I see it and I don't do it with her because that's the pattern in my family. I do my best to be as beneficial and also interdependent as I can. What I have to offer, I offer freely. And what I can share and serve, I give. I just can't do it with money in the ways that she can. So it's, so when her daughter needs anything and I support, right? Like it's a real give and take. So we go have dinner. Now let me say, Somerville, Issa Rae's restaurant on Slauson is fucking magnificent. Okay. Like I'm not a foodie. I'm not a foodie. Like I don't really care about food. I really don't. I care about environment, experience, and people. And Somerville, she totally built out an entirely new space. So it's not a restaurant that used to be a restaurant. It's like a big, big, big space that they have turned into like a supper club. It has a live band. And the food is the macaroni and cheese, delicious. Delicious. The macaroni and cheese was delicious. They had a collard green lasagna. Delicious. Delicious. And we had an incredible evening. It was really a beautiful evening. Me, my aunt Teresa, my cousin Shirley, who's like, Shirley must be like 75 now, and her daughter Janelle, who's probably 40. And Teresa, Teresa's had these reservations since November. So we just got in the end of March, and she's had the reservation since November, and it's constantly booked up. So it was this beautiful evening of us just being together and having a good time. And then we were leaving and my cousin Shirley walks on a walker. She had a hip thing and so she's kind of grumpy because of it. Her husband died, then she had a hip thing, then she had a shoulder thing, and then her mother died. Like she's had a lot of things happen and she's not been able to really recover from it. And she's kind of grumpy because of it. Like she's just sort of like, and you can. So we were getting ready to go, and I was like, "How you doing, Shirley?" And she was like, I don't like this." And her daughter was like, "But she could do more." But her daughter's very respectful of her mother's process, not pushy or intrusive, but definitely knowing that her mother's not doing as much work as she could to get herself in a different circumstance. But her spirit is sort of drained, which is why she's not doing as much. So we were just sort of laughing. We were going, it's all family. So we don't have to put on here. It's okay for you to share how you're feeling. We're family. And then I said to her, yeah, we're family. Remember that time I fainted in your wedding? I was in her wedding. Well, Shirley is married into our family. And I was in her wedding when I was like 6 years old. I was like, yeah, remember when I was in your wedding and I fainted? And she said, I had never heard this. She said, yes, you fainted because we were so busy with all the wedding plans that we forgot to feed you. So you're standing up in a hot church, you have on a long little dress, and I just collapsed because they forgot to feed me. Literally, I was like, that's the story of my whole childhood. That is the story of my whole childhood. Like being with people who didn't understand, like there was just so much neglect. There was so much neglect. And to the fact that I just fainted. I just like and when she said it, it just I just was like, oh, like cuz here she is. I'm 56 years old. Her saying, and this happened 50 years ago. So it just soothed my heart. Like it really soothed my heart because I'm starting to get so clear and I'm starting to heal so much that there was a time when that would have angered me or where I would be in blame. Like so much of my early life was just being so enraged that I wasn't taken care of well. And because I wasn't taken care of, I didn't know how I was meant to function. And now that I know how I'm meant to function, I'm so clear that no one could have taught me what I know about myself and how I'm meant to function. No one could have taught me this unless they were an astrologer, unless that, which is why I believe that we should always have the natal charts of the children that we give birth to so that we know how they're meant to function and we can teach it to them and we can put them in environments that help them access it. Not that anything was wrong in my family. It was exactly the way that it was meant to be because I wasn't mothered. No one was watching me. So my aunt is like, yeah, you fainted because no one fed you. But the upside of that was that I was free. So I was laughing the other day how like I'm a free bitch, right? But I was a free child because no one was parenting me and I was figuring it out. I was learning as I go. I was learning how to heal myself. I was and there were things that I would get along the way. Like my grandmother would use herbs and stuff. She didn't teach it to me, but I watched that's why I use herbs now. My grandmother, whatever, I would pick up what was right for me, but no one was actually teaching me. No one was putting me to bed. No one was cooking my food. No one was washing my clothes. No, I was figuring all of that stuff out on my own, which has made me extraordinarily industrious. But for years, I was just angry about it because I felt like it should have been somebody else. Now, the most ironic thing is that my mother was an Aries. My mother's not alive anymore, but she was an Aries. The sun is in Aries right now. And the sun is in Aries right now. And yesterday, the moon was in Capricorn. So we are readjusting the structures that formed us into who we became. And now we are shifting our structure so that we can create a new sense of self, a new identity, right? By telling a new story, by getting greater meaning of our experiences that we had in our childhood so that we can now use those experiences to level off of them and become who we actually are meant to be, because now we are ready, because the cosmos is opening up for us to become who we're really here to be. So this story changed my life. This last night changed my life. I felt so good to be able to say to my auntie, I don't have the money. I don't have $100 for dinner tonight. And her willingly say, I'll take care of it. And not like I'll loan you, like I'll take care of it. Thank you. I appreciate that, right? So I felt really good about that. That was me being confident and standing up for myself and understand and not forcing and manipulating. Oh, it felt so good to do that. And then my cousin Shirley saying that we didn't feed you just just really helped me. It just tied my whole childhood up. I was like, exactly. Thank you so much. So where because right now with the nodes, the moon is now in Aquarius, so we have this opportunity to like cut a cord because we're going into an eclipse right now. The moon is in Aquarius, and then it's going to go into Pisces, and then it's going to go into Aries. And when it gets into Aries on Friday, we're going to have an eclipse. So pay attention to what is being offered to you to cut away from your childhood. And how you cut it away is by telling yourself a new story about it. Are you willing to let go of the old story about it? And it's not an all or nothing. At least it's not for me. Some of us, it is all or nothing because when the moon is in Aquarius, it can be very all or nothing. But, where are you with the story? Are you willing to see it in a new perspective? Many of us have gone through really challenging things. That Aryan energy is war, right? So maybe you've been in an experience where you were molested or you dealt with some sort of abuse or, do you think that there's a way that you could look at that very difficult experience from another lens, another perspective? I know it's hard to say that, especially when we feel very victimized. And I'm not trying to be insensitive. But what I want to say is that for those of us who have gone through abuse, sexual abuse, it is because we have an enormous amount of power. And if I didn't understand astrology, it's hard to say that somebody taking advantage of you or harming you is there's a benefit to it, right? That's all I want to say. There's a benefit to it. And some of us have been we're innocent, like we're so pure that we have been victimized. It occurs like we've been victimized because we have not had the skill set to take care of ourselves and protect ourselves. And so we have experienced things that are very outside of our sense of well-being. And I'm curious if you can see that from a different lens. Is there anything you can learn from it that is beyond the fact that someone harmed you? Is there anything you can offer yourself? Can you pray and ask God? Can you ask the ancestors? Can you see if there's something else in you that you are willing to activate around these experiences of perceived harm and abuse? Because if you can, there's something very valuable there for you if you can do that, especially while we're in an eclipse window. And all you have to do is be willing. Maybe it's not readily available, but it's like there's just a sincerity, just a deep desire for freedom, to be free from it, to be released from it. And if you have that and you're willing to be with that, it'll release you. You can be released from it. All right, y'all. I came from a family of singers. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. I came from a family of singers. And I wish I could sing so bad. Because y'all would hate me. I would be singing all the time. Y'all would be like, this bitch don't stop singing. I just, like, I don't understand why I don't have, like, Whitney Houston's kind of talent. Because on the inside, I'm motherfucking Whitney Houston. All right, y'all. I love y'all so much. Have a really beautiful day. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.